5. 5 barriers we need to disrupt and dismantle to improve student outcomes. Barrier number 1, deficit ideologies. Deficit ideologies normalize the biased assumptions that learners our system has historically and presently marginalized are incapable of meeting high expectations in learning. Moreover, we often express this ideology in schools and classrooms in a package of good intentions and support. Regardless of the intent of our deficit-based actions, historically and presently marginalized communities disproportionately suffer under the weight of their impact. To put it simply, they are used to close off many pathways to success in school and life. Having this perspective lowers expectations for students and inhibits our ability to recognize learners' strengths. By focusing instead on the gifts our diverse communities bring to our learning environments, we can play a significant role in fostering spaces where each learner feels they can succeed to their utmost potential. Barrier number 2, low expectations for students. We all have implicit biases which affect how we view students and the expectations we hold of them. Lowered expectations limit students' access to academic programming and experiences. This often looks like grouping students by perceived abilities and calling on some students to ask and answer questions more than others. Such actions can have unintended negative impacts on students and tell them who we believe can learn and who cannot. We must challenge our biases and beliefs about the students we teach. We can do this by working together to hold each other accountable for equitable outcomes for all and focusing much more on the impact than our actions intent. Barrier number 3, fixing the student. Believing that students need to fit into existing structures and environments in our education system leads to oppressive practices. As Paul Gorski says, it leads us to focus on fixing kids rather than fixing injustice. Rather than fix the students, we need to challenge ourselves to identify and eliminate barriers and inequities that students face in their learning and create deeper engagement opportunities. For example, when one of our students struggles to hand in or achieve success in a particular assignment, we need to ask ourselves how we might improve the task to meet their needs, rather than assign labels such as lazy or irresponsible on the learner. As educators, we have the ability and professional responsibility to create and change the environmental conditions in which students learn and grow. We need to critically examine what we are doing or not doing that contributes to positive outcomes for each and every student. Barrier number 4, excluding student voice. When we teach and support students without removing barriers that prevent their voices from being elevated in their learning, we are saying that we and the curriculum are more important than the learners themselves. By elevating the voices of historically marginalized groups and communities and using student input to inform learning experiences, we develop stronger partnerships with our students. It also places us in a better position to identify barriers to success and remove them. Differentiated learning and assessment provides students with the opportunity to represent their learning in meaningful ways. Student input can inform and shape assignments and assessments, creating greater engagement and motivation for learning. We can ask them what they are interested in learning about and then connect this to the curriculum. We can also hold space for our learners to participate as actively as possible in the assessment process. It is essential to know our students as individuals beyond the classroom. Our learners thrive when their intersectional social identities, lived experiences, and voices are affirmed, reflected, and elevated in their learning. Barrier number 5, lack of differentiation. While students need to demonstrate their learning of the overall curriculum expectations by the end of a grade or course, how they learn and demonstrate that learning of these expectations does not need to be standardized. Using the same instruction and assessment practices for all learners privileges and advantages the learning of students who already have access to privilege and power in society, and marginalizes students such as those with individual educational plans or exceptionalities. For example, relying solely on teacher-directed lessons and product-based assessments, such as tests, does not provide all students with the most relevant and appropriate opportunities to access and demonstrate their learning. By providing a variety of instructional experiences and gathering assessment evidence through multiple methods, formats, and tools, we can engage all students in their learning. Adapting our instruction and assessment practices to address the individual strengths, needs, and lived experiences of the students we teach creates the conditions for all students to succeed.